Hello and welcome to the Catch a Lift Coaches Corner. I'm Cal Coach and Program Director Melissa, and this week I'm honored to welcome Robert Dominguez, Greg Quarles, and Carnell Martin. All of these amazing Cal veteran athletes just returned from competing at the Invictus Games. Welcome to this week's episode of the Coaches Corner. Carnell, Rob, Greg, welcome. Welcome back to the U.S. Welcome to the show. Good to see you guys.
Thank you for having me. Good to see you too, Melissa.
Yeah, thanks, and good to see you.
Oh, guys, let's get into it. I have so many questions to ask you. To start out today, Carnell, would you talk to us and explain what the Invictus Games are and how someone becomes eligible to even compete in them?
Yes, Invictus Game is an international sporting event that was designed and tailored to service member, injured, ill, or sick, and we compete in a wide range of sports for adapted sports.
Wonderful. Carnell, where were they held this year?
This year was held in the Netherlands, inside The Hague. It was a great venue, and just a lot of support, and the volunteers and everything that goes with it was outstanding.
And Carnell, touch on for us, what's the qualification process to make it to Invictus?
Well, typically the qualification process starts at the initial trials, and you work your way up from your individual trials, your individual services into the Warrior Games. Then once you become a Warrior Game participant, you're eligible and put in a pool for future Invictus athlete or part of Team USA. That's normally and typically the way the process works. So
wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're gonna kind of take this a bit round robin, and I'll kind of hit on each one of you. Rob, starting with you, talk to us a bit about qualifying for the Invictus Games, and then what it was like kind of leading up to it. Because again, the last 2 years, there's been a lot of kind of in and out with both Warrior Games and Invictus Games, if they're happening or not. Touch on what this time period's kind of been like, and then what your qualifications were to go to Invictus.
Yeah, so originally when the team was selected, that was way back before the COVID situation went on. But through all the time coming, a lot of changes had happened with veterans, as life circumstances and whatnot. So a new roster had came out with new athletes that were able to participate. So originally I wasn't on the roster for this year, but because of situations that happened with other veterans, I was able to take this slot. I was actually preparing for the future Invictus Games, but this opportunity came up where I was able to take it. And
wonderful.
Yeah, so right away I was always training and staying ready. So once they called me and told me, that's how I was actually selected for this Invictus Games this year.
That's amazing. Rob, which events did you participate in at Invictus?
I participated in rowing, powerlifting, shot put, track, and swimming.
Man, that's a lot of different events to plan for, to prepare for. I definitely want to hit back on you and talk about that some more. But passing it over to Greg. Greg, talk a little bit these last 2 years and just kind of what's your journey been through COVID to get to Invictus. What did that look like for you?
I was pretty much the same way as Rob. So since 2015, I've been competing in the Warrior Games, and when you compete, like Carnell said, you put in and you can submit an application. And so I kept submitting, kept training, and last year's Warrior Games came around. I was supposed to be the UC. They got canceled, but they had the virtual. I wasn't originally on this year's Invictus team, but I was told I was an alternate. Like Rob stated, because of life situations, people had to drop out. And so when they did the virtual where I'd been training, my face got out there because I did really well in the virtual. So as soon as there was a drop, I was immediately asked if I wanted to join because they knew that I had been training year round. And that's how I wound up getting on this year's team.
Heck yeah, that's tremendous, Greg. What events did you compete in?
I competed in compound archery, rowing, and recumbent cycling.
Terrific. Carnell, let's swing over to you. Talk to us about, touch on these last couple years. I know you have seen, kind of the snip, snap of, is it happening, isn't it? Virtual events, live, just all the chaos. Talk to us a little bit about how, you made it to Invictus this year and what that journey has been like.
Well, you said it in a nutshell, Melissa. Snip, snap,
Yep.
you name it. It was on, it was off. But my journey started way back in 2013 with adaptive sports and the Marine Corps trials. It took me nearly, I don't know, 6, 7 years to do my first Warrior Games, and then I did my first, and then my second one in 2019. The first was 2018, and from there, I started thinking, why not Invictus? Why not, what if anybody, why not me?
Yeah.
2018, 19, I got the word that I was part of Invictus team. I was so ecstatic. And then we get the word that it was no longer going to happen because of COVID. I was kind of down, but I say, hey, that's another year I can get prepared. And then the next year it was, the same thing. It was on, then it was off. So I'm like, you can only stay ready for so long, and
that's mentally exhausting.
Exactly, mentally and physically exhausting, especially when you reach you get up in age, your body can't take the pounding. So with that said, and we found out there was a goal this year, I was so ecstatic. I went from training athletes to really preparing within like 3 to 4 months, really focusing on my sports that I need to at least compete. I know the competition was going to be stiff, and that my training was what it is and what it was going to be going into it. But not only did I go in looking for medals, but I went into looking for the bonding and and training and working with Robert again and meeting other athletes. That was just a dream come true to be able to do that. So it was very rewarding, once we got there and we look back to how we got there and where we.
I'm sure.
Where we stood. So it was very, very rewarding. So.
Carnell, what events did you compete in?
I competed in track originally, and then we did some reclassification, and we pulled out of track because of possible further injury to the lower leg. So the doctors deemed it wasn't smart to do. So indoor rowing, powerlifting, and seated discus was my sports. And with discus, I had to learn that again because requalification requalified me for sitting because of my right hip, and I had to learn that within 4 days in going into the Netherlands.
Oh my gosh!
So while we were at training, I learned the sport of sitting, throwing discus, and fortunate or good luck, I won gold in the disc and sitting. So
congratulations, Carnell. That's tremendous. That's tremendous. We're definitely gonna swing back around to that some more and get into that. Let's rewind a little bit, guys. And Rob, I'll start with you again, and you can kind of pick up your training at whatever point feels good to you here. But you had so many different events that you competed in. How have you? And again, even these last couple years, and is it on? Is it off? Are you in it? Aren't you in it? You stayed ready. What did that look like for you? And how were you able to prepare for all of these, very different events, to travel overseas and go to Invictus?
So during all the trials and the virtual competitions, I've made myself available. I went down to Camp Pendleton to go and do the trials with them and get some extra training. I worked with Carnell there while he was helping the athletes, and I got to get some time there on those different sports. it's really hard around here where I'm at in Clovis, as far as getting into a pool, and trying to go out there and swim. But I do have shot put, and so I would practice on my own on the shot put side. Powerlifting, I've worked with Carnell. I've worked with my coaches, LJ, and getting stuff to prepare myself through that. It was like all virtual. Rowing, I got a rowing machine thanks to Catch a Lift Fund. So I was rowing in my living room. And track, you just got to run. You just got to get out there and run.
Got to run.
Yeah, you just got to, and I run the 50 meter or the 100 meter sprint. So I just got to get out there and give it all I got. But I just kind of trained as much as I could. Once I found out I was, that these are the sports that I was going to be doing, I just did the best that I could with what I had.
How did you mentally prepare for that, Rob, though? Because, you touched on it. There was a lot of, virtual competitions, leading up, and, virtual is much different than in person. How did you handle that, on the front end of Invictus, knowing that this is going to be different than these virtual competitions, that you've been working with the last couple years since COVID?
I've been waiting for my chance to go to the actual Warrior Games since 2018. And so when I went there, I had did the powerlifting, and that was my favorite sport. I had failed my third lift there with 270 pounds or less, and I wasn't happy. And so when I came back from 2018, I trained my butt off very, very hard, and I tried to get that shot. But then COVID had taken that away, and then again it was taken away. And at one point I wanted to quit. I was tired, and I just, I remember calling Carnell and was like, man, I can't do this, man. I'm done. He's like, nope, you ain't quitting. You got to keep on. And, that's what had really pushed me was you're right. I got to keep on pushing. I got to keep training, and the time will come. And eventually when they had said, hey, the Invictus is possible for you. In back of my mind, I was kind of like, man, this is going to get canceled.
I'm sure. Yeah.
And because of past few times it had, and I just didn't want to get my hopes up. I'm training very hard, and I have a set program where I'm not trying to max out because my max is at the competition.
Right.
So every time I reach that level, it's it's canceled, and I go back down. And I have to manage my body. I have to manage my mind to get prepared for this. And when they said it was going, I stayed to a really good rhythm, and I was able to get there where I'm supposed to be for every sport, and did my best there, and I was very happy with all the times I got and the places I got, because that's exactly where I was supposed to be.
Good. Thank you, Rob. Greg, same question. Talk to us about preparing for Invictus, over the past couple years, multiple events, and, with also the added dynamic of going from kind of virtual competitions that were these last 2 years to getting ready for something that's going to be live again.
So to go back on that, so I got introduced to adaptive sports in 2014, and kept training, made Warrior Game teams. Competed 15, 16, 17, and took a few years off because I had some surgeries. I was finally coming back in 2020. I just came off of an injury in 2020 where I broke, shattered my left wrist, but rehabbed and made the 2021 Warrior Games team. Was slotted to be the UC. Went out on a bike ride out in Montana and Wyoming. Had a near-death bicycle wreck that I shattered my. But they still reclassed me. I was still going to the Warrior Games, and they got canceled. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise for me that they got canceled. That was in August. Had surgery. January, I finally got cleared to be able to start training and everything again, and that's when they told me I was going to Invictus. So I had to throw a lot of training in, coming off an injury where I was just cleared to be able to walk and all that. I couldn't do some of the events that I normally did, and was really scared of the events that I was picked for. But it just came out to be in the Warrior Games. I was a cyclist. I shot archery, air rifle, and I did shot put and discus seated. Those are my sports. And so when it came to Invictus, because of things that they wanted me to compete in, I had to drop all the field events. And I was slotted. I was supposed to be doing volleyball, basketball, and rugby, but I had to drop them because of events. So just to get ready for everything, I really just looked at other athletes from the past and people around me, used that motivation, dedication, and all the years that I had worked where I'd wanted, this was my dream to make it to Invictus, and finally slotted. And so that gave me the drive to push those couple of months to get myself ready, and it paid off.
That's tremendous. Thank you, Greg. Carnell, same question. Talk to us about training these last couple years, training for multiple events, for a major competition like this, and, knowing mentally you're going to be going from, where there's been a lot of online competitions to that live in-person competition.
Right. Good question, Melissa. Man, these last 3 years has been life-changing, world life-changing for everyone. For me to stay focused and shape and just train on the individual sports. I'm fortunate to have the access to a gym, to coaches, to trainers here at Camp Pendleton, which have that runs adaptive sports throughout the year with the active duty Marines. So I was fortunate to get in there during COVID when the gyms were open and still, try to fine tune some of the exercises and the sports that I do. At the same time, I was training other active duty athletes too. So it was a balanced thing. I knew Invictus was a possibility, but then in 2019 when I got the word, then COVID hit again. Then I was like, oh, well, I'm just focused and help others, because we don't know if this is going to happen again. So it was going back and forth, trying to train them and train myself. And then fast forward, once I got the word I was on a team, my focus changed from really mentally, just focusing on the possibility and what that would look like once I got there. So I had to cut out a lot of the things that I was doing for, I wouldn't say I'm being selfish for others, but mentally focusing, getting ready for myself. And that process helped me to focus on my sports also. And then within that time frame too, I had an injury. I really didn't tell anyone, but I was still focusing on my sport. I had a torn tricep tendon.
Oof.
So that was a bummer because powerlifting was my sport. So I had to adapt again. I say, oh man, I'm at the level now where I can compete against the best, but I'm not at my best. So that was kind of a bummer. But went to camp and just said I'm a maintain. If I can maintain this plateau here, I can at least compete, within the higher echelon. And that's what I did. So my whole focus was really mentally staying prepared, also trying to train in those different sports, trying to be ready. But it was hard. It was tough. But
I'm sure.
I think that mental part kept me going more than the physical, because I was in pretty physically shape. But once you lose that mental focus, I think that's where a lot of people fail.
It all goes south very fast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So.
Thank you, Carnell.
You're welcome.
Let's go around now, guys, and I want to, go to each of you again. We'll start with Rob and let you all really break down your experience at the Invictus Games with your individual events. So, Rob, starting with you, talk to us about Invictus Games 2022. What was it like? Talk to us. Take us through the events that you did and that experience.
Yeah, so just a minute, we're at the airport You start getting really excited, start seeing all the other athletes coming in. We start meeting, um, big groups start coming in with all their gear, and you start getting really pumped up, and you start seeing all these other countries, and we're all coming in at once, and it's just like, you're putting on your gear, getting ready to go and represent for your country. You feel so so proud, and all that hard work and going through those times of COVID, you just are ready to go out and unleash and show what how hard you worked. And the feeling of being out there and seeing all of the other athletes is it's just so awesome. Like being there with the Ukraine, those athletes, and meeting them, and hearing their stories, and how much courage they have, being there, and what it took them to get there. Um, it was just very humbling, and it really opened my eyes to a lot of things, and to uh, where I could push myself next. And I I will always remember the Invictus games. That experience, getting to meet the Duke, and a lot of other individuals there, and many athletes now. When you go to events like this and you start to build rapport, and you start
Yeah.
talking with other athletes, you start getting more individuals that you can lean on. The more people you can call, that when times are in need, you can go to them. And I remember I gave this little boy a coin on the bus, and through my Facebook, I seen that she went on there, and and she was from Ukraine, and there's a friend request, and then she sent me a message and said that they were all safe, and I translated it and stuff, and yeah, it's so awesome, like being able to find other individuals like me, and connect all over the world. It's just I don't know, you'd have to go through it to experience what that feeling is.
Yeah.
It's just so much emotion for me, and I was just so grateful and happy that I was able to compete and give it all I got. Going into shot put was something that I really wanted to do really bad, because I've worked a lot in throwing that 13-pound ball. And so, I went out there, and I ended up taking gold. Um,
Oh, congratulations, Rob.
Thank you. A lot of the guys on the other teams they're really big guys, and they're pretty shocked that, I'm 189, 190 pounds, and these guys are 240, 250, and they see this guy throwing that ball further than them. The
Heck
shot
yeah.
put, and they were. I woke them up a little bit. Let's just say.
I bet.
And
Yeah.
hopefully, get to push them. The other event that I medaled in was the swimming for the 50-meter relay. We did it as a team. So I did really good in the swim. I think I did much better without having as much training as I did, but I made the top 8 for sure. And we got together in the team, and we came out with silver. And so that
Heck
was
yeah.
that was pretty awesome. Not having as much training in the pool, but to come
Yeah.
out, from Invictus with the silver, and that was nice.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah,
That's huge.
overall, just a really great feeling inside, like of having a crowd, having people in front of you, having them cheer, watching the lights, stepping on a stage, and we finally get to do it again. And and hopefully this keeps on, going, and we get to do more events like this, because it's just it was a lot of fun.
That's so cool. Rob, how did just, I mean, I've traveled to compete before. I've traveled across the country, out to like California to compete, and like going from like Central Time to Pacific Time, like it kicked my butt, right? Like the travel, the time change, sleeping in a hotel, different environment, different food. You traveled internationally, much bigger time difference. Again, the crowds, the food, just everything's different for you. How did you kind of handle that side of the competition?
Well, when we had got there, I had told myself that I was going to stay awake because the time that we had landed, it was 7:30 in the morning.
Okay.
So we had to, and over here it's a 9-hour difference. So either I was going to go
Good
to
one,
sleep
yeah.
all day or,
Right.
and so I had to try to get myself on schedule very fast. So I got there and I stayed awake the whole day. So basically I was almost up for like 24 hours trying to adjust. And then, going to sleep for as far as that, it took a few days to actually get acclimated. It was very tough. I don't think I really fully figured it out, but with all the competitions and everything going so fast, there's so many sports and you're going. I think I kind of just like forgot about it until I was coming home. But the food there, I'm so grateful that they were able to provide food. It was just very different food for us to have. We're at the venue, so we don't have time to go out in town and go get us a steak or,
Right.
whatever we want to eat. So, having a lot of bread, soup, bologna sandwiches or ham. And you're like, no, man, I can't do this. This is too much for me. But, was able to adapt to it and use it and have it for fuel. That's all. I mean, we had to make it happen. We had to make it work. And the way I did it was just eat what I could, enjoy the moment. I was there and that's it. But I couldn't let the time difference, stop me from this.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to let nothing get in the way for me giving all I got.
Heck yeah. Rob, to kind of put you on the spot here a minute, like one moment, if you could pick one moment from Invictus, like what was the most impactful to you or kind of the most moving or, what's that gold nugget that you just kind of look back on from Invictus?
Well, look at the most is when we first had walked in there into Invictus, when we first went in there during the welcome ceremony, and then when you are doing the closing ceremony, and when you start seeing all these faces of everybody as you're coming out. And I think for us, the U.S., we came in not last, but we were able to come out and see people's faces, a lot of more of the athletes. And for me, when I came out, I wanted to see them. I wanted to see how they looked and their smiles and all that. And I remember just the first day into the last closing ceremony on how much that place and Invictus had meant to them. And because I know what it meant to me, but being able to come out and I wanted to watch that, I got to see people's lives like change so much. It's unbelievable. That would be one of the biggest moments for me, is to see the faces of other countries, and how much it impacted them.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Rob.
Mm-hmm.
Greg, talk to us about all things Invictus Games for you. Break down your events. Talk to us about the competition.
So for Invictus, for me, I was originally slotted. I was slotted for archery, cycling, and rowing, and had to drop a few events because of those three main events. I had to drop all the team events. But just coming into it to kind of go back a little bit, as a young kid growing up, even as an adult, we grew up watching the Olympics and the Paralympics, and it's like just an honor seeing those athletes, especially the para, from what they endeavor and overcome to get to where they are as an athlete, and to eventually be picked on and be able to compete at the Invictus on a world stage that's driven just like the Paralympics and represent your country is just beyond. I don't know. I sometimes I think it really still hasn't fully hit me that I was able to be there and compete and represent our country and be there with all these amazing and great athletes from all over the world. But then when you get there and the level of detail that they put into each event, and the way for archery, the way everything was lined up. And I've shot archery across the country and from Warrior Games, Endeavor Games, and things like that. And things are nice, but this was like world class. I mean, you got cameras at every angle in front of you, behind you, and just the commentators that we had, like, that spoke multiple languages as they were going on, not just English, but every country that was there. Like in particular, you're talking about the archer event. He was having conversations with every team that was competing. Like, he spoke all those different languages. It was just phenomenal. And it just made you realize, like, where you were at and what stage and class you were at, and being able to see and talk with each individual athlete and their family members and hear their stories of where they came from and how they got there. And then you're right next to, standing right next to shooting or competing was just remarkable. When it came to archery is normally one of my really strong events. I spoke with you before, like, I had the bad ankle surgery and didn't know if I was going to be able to stand. When we first got to, we had the week training camp in DC, and then when we first got to The Hague, it was saying I was walking somewhere between 25 and 35,000 steps a day. By the time we got and archery was the very first event. The day prior, my ankle was getting bad, but the day we went to shoot, it swelled up like the size of a cantaloupe, and I couldn't stand on it. So I was trying to have to fight that. I still made it in the top 16 and finished in ninth overall in archery.
Oh my gosh.
And it was remarkable, but my ankle was huge. From that point on, they came to me. They're like, "Hey, you're not walking anymore." They put me in a wheelchair. They had a gentleman, Hans. He was one of our ambassadors. Every day at the gate, he met me with a wheelchair, and so I wheeled around, and it saved me for my next events, for rowing and for cycling at the end, and was able to come out of that strong. To go off of what you're asking, Rob, and I stated it in the beginning, it was amazing meeting the Duke and meeting Megan. Phenomenal, like, so down to earth and, like, really caring, and meeting all the other diplomats. But the biggest takeaway was the daily time that I got to talk one-on-one with all these other great nations, athletes and their family members, and how proud, like, just seeing the smiles of not only the athletes, but their family members, their little kids, their wives, grandparents, things like that, seeing what this was doing for them. And it wasn't just helping the athlete, it was helping the family members, and all the camaraderie that came around, everybody helping each other. It didn't matter what team or what nation we were prior from. We all became one big family. Yeah, we were out there competing against each other, but at the end of the day, we competed, and then we went back to hugging, shaking hands, and being friends. It's just remarkable, the mentality that comes out of that for everybody.
That's so cool, Greg. If you had to pick one moment, what was your top moment that stands out, Greg, from the Invictus Games?
I guess the top moment, I mean, there's so many, but there's a gentleman from Denmark. Me and him, we became really good friends now, and he walked up to me the day after archery, and so each nation, we all got different coins that we could give out to different people who stood out like the most to us and everything. And he came over and he goes, "You fought through not only all the injuries that you've endured through your military career, but your ankle, and you still stayed here and shot the entire time." And he presented me his country's coin and everything. And so that just really touched me, and like, it's something that I'll never forget and take away, that what it meant to him and what it meant to me by receiving that coin. So that's my biggest.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Greg. If I may ask you what did it mean to you to be competing, to be a part of that Team USA? What did that mean?
Well, I mean, it's like I said, it still hasn't fully hit. I mean, I look at it, I'm 45 going on 46. I've had major surgeries every year since 2012 up until this year. This is the first year I haven't had a surgery. So, but to be able to be on that stage and be able to compete and represent our great country and Team USA is a dream come true. I got to be out there with the best of the best and represent our country and bring it all home.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Greg. Carnell, please tell us about your Invictus Games experience. Talk about your events, and can't wait to hear, man.
Wow, I don't have to say much more. I mean,
I'm like, I've got
they nailed
goosebumps.
it.
Like,
They got,
man, you guys.
I'm getting goosebumps, and I was there. You know, it has to be the most greatest moment in my life. Like Greg said, from the professionalism to the putting it all together was just superb. I mean, it was professional. You know, it was amazing. The people was amazing. The athletes, and just meeting athletes from different countries, you know, and just hearing their stories. Just meeting friends, you know, that you seen in the United States doing trials, seeing those guys again, and just listen to their journey through the COVID and their way of life and back in their country. Meeting the athletes in Ukraine, knowing that when the games are over, they got to go back to combat.
Right.
Man, it was just, you know, just seeing the thrill of the kids and families enjoying their, you know, their mother, brother, sister, father compete, and just seeing that hug at the finish line, you know, it was amazing. And then to represent your country, the USA, on a stage like that. For Europe, I would say that is their Olympics that we don't see in the U.S. You know, just to compete on that stage was phenomenal. It was unbelievable.
Talk to us about the energy, Carnell, when you were physically competing in your events. What was the energy like? What were you experiencing as an athlete?
Oh, the energy was wow. I took a chance to slow down, to watch the people, to watch the crowd, and they were focused. Their attention was on the athlete. It was I wouldn't say high as the Olympics, but it was right there with Olympic status. Man, I can't be more grateful for the opportunity to be able to compete with Greg and Robin and all the other athletes from the USA, and then to watch the other countries' reaction to the USA. They know we're a powerful nation, and we went in with a powerful team, and just their support for us was phenomenal. And those guys, they gave us the utmost respect. Yeah.
Oh, that's tremendous to hear. That's tremendous to hear. I'm going to swing it all back around one more time to all of you. But before we do that, y'all got some yellow ribbon around your necks. Please
bling,
hold
bling.
up. You guys got some stuff to be showing.
Bling, bling.
Oh, my gosh. Congratulations, truly. On behalf, I'll speak for Catch a Lift. We are all so incredibly proud and happy for you guys. It's absolutely tremendous. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank
Rob, what's next for you? What's up next for you?
Next for me would be hopefully another shot to go into Invictus. There's one coming up in Germany, 2023. We're allowed to do 2. And so that would be great to try to get that one done and then focus on coaching and training after that, like other individuals and stuff. With all my experience, I think it'll be great to be able to teach or coach and help.
Yep.
But I still have some more left in me. I'm only 39. So I still got some fight.
Oh, you got a lot of fight left, Rob. Good night.
So
I'm looking up Carnell. Tell him. Good
exactly.
So
you got lot of time, brother.
That will be that would be something that that would probably be next. I overheard a couple of things about a triathlon that's adaptive that they might be hosting at the end of June. So hopefully I can get onto that where it's an adaptive. It's swimming, rowing, and cycling.
Oh,
Swimming, rowing,
awesome.
and cycling.
Very
So
cool. Very
that
cool.
was just brought up while we're at Invictus. So
Yeah.
fingers crossed that I get to do something there. It's in the UK. So
UK. Yeah.
Tremendous. Rob, one last question for you today. What does it mean to you to be a Catch a Lift Fun veteran athlete?
oh man, that's man, it means a lot to me because Catch a Lift has been there for me through a lot. The veterans that are in Catch a Lift, who've been there for me, helping me, pushing me. It just means so much that I have a family. This is my family. This is where I go to. This is who I lean on. This is what I got, and it means a lot to me that I'm able to be here and to be a part of this this team, this family. Helping me with getting my rowing machine. To being able to train for that and to do certain things that I never would have been able to do. So it means a lot, and I'll go on for days talking about it. But
Yes.
I really, really am grateful to be a CalVet athlete and to be here.
Well, we're so grateful for you, Rob. Thank you. Greg, what's up next for you?
Short term, I have quite a few things. I actually leave this weekend for the Georgia Cup. It's a big outdoor archery tournament.
Oh my gosh. Good luck, Greg.
So,
That's awesome.
Thanks. And then at the end of the month, I have the Gator Cup down in Florida. And then directly after that, head out to Oklahoma for the Endeavor Games. And then fingers crossed, I want to compete one more time. Since it was canceled last year, I was selected for the UC for the Army team for the Warrior Games. I'm hoping to come back and be able to do that. A little side note, right after Invictus, I get some phone calls and emails. Hey, these people want to talk to you, submit this application. So I submitted application for the US para rowing team. And as soon as we get off this call, I have a call with the head guy for the US para rowing coordinator. So hopefully I can make the US para rowing team.
Oh, heck yeah. That's
and
awesome.
to go off what Rob said, we can do 2 years in Invictus, and I'm going to keep training hard and hopefully make that, and we can go compete together there, Rob, and with you as well, Carnell, and
Yes, sir.
go to Germany.
That's
You might
awesome.
be you might be competing against me in the UC at the Warrior Games. by the
Okay,
way.
good job.
I like it. I like it. Thank you, Greg. One last question for you, too. Greg, what does it mean to you to be a Catch a Lift Fun veteran athlete?
It's absolutely amazing. The camaraderie, the support that you guys give, and all the other athletes and all the team members. You really helped it, especially during the COVID time. All the gyms were closed. I would have fell off of training and all that if it hadn't been for you guys and for the help and support getting some of the gym equipment that I got that keeps me somewhat fit as a 45-year-old decrepit.
Somewhat fit. All right, let me just stop you right there. Good grief, as I can hear you
But-
jingling medals with every turn.
With every turn.
I think that's just the no quit attitude. I think sometimes people tell me like you don't know how to quit, and that comes from being around the mentorship that you guys have given and all these other great athletes, showing me no matter what injuries that we have, no matter what it is, the injuries don't dictate who we are. It's
Absolutely.
about what we have in here and what we have up here, and if we continue that we control all that. And I think I've stated it before that one door might have closed because of our injuries, sickness, or illnesses, but a plethora of other doors open, and it's up to us of which one we take, or multiple doors that we take. So
Thank you, Greg. Beautifully said.
thank you.
Carnell, what's up next for you?
Good question. We got a few things lined up, but here in the near future, I would say next couple of weeks or a month or so, helping out the Marine powerlifting team here at the local base here, getting those guys ready for Warrior Games. Some of the guys already been told that they're part of the team, so they pushing even harder now. So getting those guys focused. But for myself, also trying to work some strings to be an ambassador for the Warrior Games, because I've done my 2 Warrior Games, but I'm trying to work some things behind the doors on that. But either way, I'll be there. They can't stop me, either as a coach or as an ambassador. Also looking forward to the Oklahoma Endeavor Games, doing that. They have 2, one in Indiana, one in Oklahoma. I'm not sure which one. I've been to the Oklahoma, so I'd probably stay what I'm familiar with. And then getting back on the stage too of coaching Melissa, getting back into the Cal pipeline again. And then hopefully, God willing, and things line up, 2023, Germany, here I come. So
Yes.
Heck yeah.
So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to.
You all have a lot of stuff, all 3 of you coming up. We're
Yeah,
so excited to watch the journey to those different events.
Yes,
Carnell, one last question for you too. Carnell, what does it mean to you to be a Catch a Lift Fund veteran athlete?
Oh, it means the world. I remember I started back in 2015. I think I'd submitted or was it 14? I think I submitted when I was still on active duty. They said, "Oh, you got to wait." So I submitted again the following year. Became a recipient of a gym membership. Like, oh man, I need more than this. What you guys got for me? So became a coach. I want to say around 2017. And then from there, just been an athlete, having that platform, and not only the platform, but the backing of such a professional organization. I was blown away. And then from there, it took off. It became a family. It became something that I needed, that I can count on, that had my back when no one else did. And just knowing that and being part of a family and an athlete, and being an example for others has given me a purpose to continue doing what I do, and that's to train, lead, and give back to others who doesn't have the opportunities or the means or way to get up and stop sitting around and do something for themselves, and just be an example. So Catch a Lift means the world to me, and it just gives me that platform to help the others in the world that started where I started from. So thank you, Cal.
Yes, thank you.
Wow. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for coming on today and sharing your light with all of us. This has been so much fun to talk about Invictus. And like I said, we're all so pumped for the 3 of you and all the great things that you've been doing and everything that's to come for you. So like I said, we so look forward to following those journeys. Thank you guys for coming on today and talking about these experiences.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. That's it for this week's episode of Coach's Corner. We will return next Wednesday at 1 Eastern Time with another episode. Thank you again, Rob, Carnell, Greg, for coming on, talking about the Invictus Games, sharing your beautiful, strong light with all of us. We're so grateful for all 3 of you. Thank you to ID Technologies for your support of this Coach's Corner podcast. Thank you to Lynn Coughlin, Henry Pomper, and Kaylee Nasiri for all of the work you do week after week to make this podcast possible. And we thank the entire Catch a Lift team. Don't forget to join us every Wednesday live at 1 p.m. Eastern on YouTube for a chance to win Cal swag and to chat with your brothers and sisters. Until next week, keep it real and stay Cal strong.